Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Tech Tronics. Today, we're going to be discussing creating a generic um, labeler for whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a name tag generator thing that you do on your spreadsheet. It can have multiple uses for multiple applications. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this spreadsheet, and we're going to lock it down really good. So stay tuned and let's do it. So let's get with it. And it opens these URLs really quick. Got him. Definitely not the greatest at playing this game, but I have fun. That's all that matters. Ouch. All right. So, all right. So what we're doing today is the generic Excel VBA labeler spreadsheet. Be sure to make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and like the video and share it with a friend. The music is done by me. I am Psychotic Order. This is the original file, right? Just to clarify. It was 12/16/2020 when I wrote this song on this piece of software here. So if there's any question, it's me. I pulled the original up. So I'm saying don't play when it comes to my music. I'm here to use it on my channel and use it to promote it in its other areas. You know what I mean? You could get it on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, and SoundCloud. All right, back to our business here. All right, what we're doing today is we're doing a generic Excel VBA labeler spreadsheet. The requirements that I come up with is it's going to tell you in the beginning how to enable macros. The data sheet is going to be hidden. It's going to hold 3 fields of data, really. It's going to do the person's initials, which is like 3 characters, ID number, 4 digits, but you can really put as many digits and characters as you want in. I didn't put that limit in today. And it's going to calculate today's date. So it's just, this is just a kind of a demonstration of what you could do on Excel with simple things like this. Now, the label sheet is going to convey 6 copies this time of the custom label. It's going to read its data from the hidden data sheet. It cannot be edited, but can click one button to re-enter the data if necessary. The button that resets the sheet, we're not going to do that this time. On close, hide, label, unhide the splash. So what's going to happen is when the sheet is closed, then you move it to a area of a computer or a file or location where macros are not enabled. It's going to tell you that macros are not enabled by the code, and we'll tell you how to do that if you stay tuned with us. So if the macro is enabled, it goes to the label sheet, and it gives you those buttons where you could print it or you could enter your data for the sheet, then print it type of thing. The workbook will be locked for manual editing. All VBA code is not to be visible at the end of this project. So what we're going to do is if you need the code, you could get the code from the you could get the code off my page. It's the generic Excel VBA labeler spreadsheet. You could go here to support the channel. yeses.com. I own that too. And we go through the requirements, the steps, then we go through some screenshots and things like that. Also, the video will be available here too. And a link to this page will be in the information section of the video. So it tells you everything you need to know. And also, too, you could copy the code and you could paste it wherever you want to, type of thing. And that's really cool. So that works, you know what I mean? So that's how we're going to do it. And we're going to get back to the presentation. All right. So that's our requirements. Now, the steps, I'm going to outline the steps. We're going to open a blank Excel spreadsheet and make 3 tabs. We're going to label the sheets VBA error, data, and label. We're going to set up the code for VBA error worksheet and the hiding and unhiding logic. Okay. And then the next 3 steps are we're going to build the data sheet, then we're going to hide it. We're going to create a print button and macro to go with that print button. Then we're going to create a form for entering the person's initials and control number. So basically, when they hit a button, it's going to pop up a form on the page, on the spreadsheet. They're going to enter this data. It's going to put it and populate it wherever it needs to go. And this was a very fun exercise indeed. And it's a very fun exercise for you if you're interested. So the next few steps are we're going to create the code that takes the data from the form and enters it into the data sheet. We're going to protect the sheet with VBA Excel code. So the code, when you open the worksheet, it's going to check if macros are available. If macros are available to run, it's going to run the code. If the code can't run, it's going to be stuck with the error code at the front, and it's going to load up this, the VBA error sheet is going to be already loaded from the get-go. Then we're going to hide and lock up the code and everything when everything is smoke tested and working. Okay. And that's basically it. So we're going to break it down step by step. All right. First of all, you need to enable developer tab on your Microsoft Excel to make your life easy. And that's what we are doing here at this point. So if you go up there, developer should be available after you've done that. And it's in your options down at the lower left-hand side of the Excel general window. Okay, so we're going to open a blank Excel spreadsheet and make 3 tabs. Okay. So, and then we're going to label the sheets VBA error, data, and label as I stated before. Okay, so that's what's going down now. I have macro error created. And we're going to go to it and make sure that our stuff is put up on that macro sheet so that we can see what we have in terms of, to make sure that the graphic, and it explains to the end user how to enable macros. That's what we want to do. So I want to rename that to fit my code real quick. So that's what's going on here. Okay. Then we're going to set up the code for the VBA error worksheet, the hiding and unhiding logic. These codes are available on my site. There will be a link to it down below in the information section of the video. You could go to it. So I tend to work off a notepad because what happens is you make stuff, it just, if you close windows or you might move stuff around, it just has another backup of a place to put it. So these 2 codes are responsible for doing a workbook open and a workbook close. These will go in the this workbook section of the VBA code area. The password I'm going to change eventually throughout this video because I have a better password for it. But it's going to basically hide the sheets and use the sheets. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to build the data sheet and hide it and link the data sheet to the label sheet with the formulas to pass the data. Okay. So I just created a simple data sheet, labeled it data. I'm going to put the initial, and that's going to be our data. The variable data is going to go in column B. The label is just in column A. So we want the initial and the number. And then I'm going to, put something up there just so that if I use the code a certain way, it doesn't put anything in B1. But it shouldn't because I'm going to make it. We're going to do today's date because it's just going to keep it simple. We don't want to let somebody put a date in there and when this program can do that just fine for you and save you a little bit of time. So basically, we're going to format the date to how we want it. And I use the special custom, and I just want to get the date, the month, and the year to make it less confusing. So it's 15th February 2026. And that's what we have for our data sheet. Now, the idea here is the form is going to put data to B2 and B3 by the use of like the cell thing. So now we're just going to do some dressing up of the label sheet to carry this data. And there's a little trick to this, right? We want this data to, if you just copy the code like that, you see how that it changes where it pulls that data from. In order to lock that down, you have to put the $sign. I have a habit of putting the $sign for the B and the $sign before the letter, so that no matter where I paste this code, it's going to pull that data from where I need to get it from. Okay, so I'm going to put this formula for the date in the appropriate fields so that this works properly. Okay, so that's what's going on now. So we got the date laid out, and then I'm gonna save my work. Maybe make it a little bit nice. Make a little area for the button because I want to put a button before the save button. What that does is save and print. There's a code for saving and print, a real simple code. And I'll be sure to make sure I include it if it's not already included. But it's in the spreadsheet that I'm working on now. It was there when I kind of started it. All right, so now I'm going to still be setting it up to read the data from the data sheet. And look at this. If there's nothing in the data sheet for that field, it's going to put a 0. So what we're going to do is a special code to make sure that if the data is not there, it just shows a blank, so that the person at the end user has the option of just using a generic field. So we don't want the zeros, but I'm going to paste the code there just to get us started, just to see what it does, Now, this is where a if statement would come in handy. And in Excel, they have the if error, if NA, and if S. I never use if S, and if NA, I've used the other three. So what we're going to say is we're going to put if data, and we're going to put another parentheses, not around it, not parentheses. Yeah. We're going to put the parentheses around there, and we're going to say basically if that data B2 field is equal to 0, then we're going to tell it to put first the blank, right? And then the other one is going to be the condition if false. Okay, because that's essentially what is happening here. So it's going to put, we're going to quote and just put do a double quote, and that'll do exactly that. And then if not, it's going to say that. Now, I made a little error here, and what you're going to see is it's not going to like that equal sign that I put before the data. There's a problem with this formula. So basically, read this. They're sometimes helpful with the error messages, but a lot of times I have to figure out what the error is that I did myself, Now this formula should work, but there's one more problem. When I move this formula, what's going to happen is if I don't put my $sign in there, it's going to change in the formula and kind of mess it up and point it to the wrong field or wrong cell. So I put the $signs in there so that when I get it, no matter where in the spreadsheet I paste it, the formula will stay the same. So I kind of get into the habit of doing that. Okay. So that takes care of our initials right there. Okay. I'm going to save my work. Make sure you save your work as you go in case you got a power outage. And the data we're going to pull from B3 on our data sheet. So when a number gets entered there, it's going to be filtered out the same way that our initials were. And I'm going to use the same calculation or same if statement, if you will. And I'm just going to put it on my notepad to change it up a little bit to reflect what we're doing. Okay. Um, I didn't want to click on that, but that's, and I see that the dollar signs are not there. I'm going to put those there just out of force of habit. Okay. And basically, I'm going to take that code and I'm going to use it again, but I'm just going to change one minor thing on it. I'm going to change the data to pull from B3, and make sure you change the false if false area of the statement too. This is where I messed up. I was kind of, that needs to say B3. Watch what happens. See, I messed up. I didn't paste that in as B3. So it's going to pull the data from B2 instead of B3 where it should be. And I tend to like, you have to really watch yourself in this program because you can make silly mistakes and it could cause you a whole bunch of trouble. And then if you don't catch the mistake, like I didn't catch that mistake right there, it's going to get filtered throughout the whole sheet, you see? And that's no good. So when I go to test it, what's going to happen is my initials is going to appear in the wrong place. And we don't want that. So hopefully, I did get that fixed. So that's, that worked out. Because I kind of test things as I go along, you see? I'm going to put my initials and I'm going to put a number in there, right? Maybe put a better number. Just see what we got. Okay, the date is a fixed thing. And I see that my error is, why is that pulling my name initials twice? And it's obvious. The answer is obvious. Change that right there. And it's important to test your stuff as you go because you could easily make the same mistake and end up with a situation like that. That's no problem. So that part of the pipe is working correctly now. Okay. It's pulling the correct data from the data sheet into the label sheet so that we don't have to type it a bunch of times, right? All right. Now what we want to do is we want to create the print button and macro. And you could get this off my site. It's conveniently there for you. I call it Save and Print 1. You could call it whatever you want. And it's a simple routine. I like to save my work, so I use activeworkbook.save. Then I select the sheet that is to be printed, and then you put in the parameters, if you will, to get the sheet printed. Pretty simple code, 2 lines, if that. All right. So sheet 1 is actually my label sheet at the top there. So that's correct. And it's called General Save and Print. You know, in the general, you're going to paste it in the module. Right. When it doesn't save and print, I'll make sure that the button is assigned correctly to the macro. That's how you do it right there. And you save your work. And on to the next step. Next, we want to create the form for entering the person's initials and control number. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. All right, so how you would go about doing a form is like you would go up to VBA project, insert user form, right? It gives you a blank user form. You could drag it around to meet the different sizes for the different applications that you have to do in this Microsoft Excel thing. And then we're gonna label it, and be real careful what you label it. Take note of what you label it as. That's kind of what I did. I put it on my notepad what I labeled it as, and I drew out the fields that we're going to be entering data in. It's going to be simple 2 fields of data to we need to enter to filter from this form into the data sheet, right? So I'm going to do my 2 labels right off the bat. And I'm going to, address them, size them up nicely so that the form looks nice. And then your properties is in the lower left-hand side, and it has a bunch of things. You could do it alphabetically, or you could do it in categorized to make it a little easier to find it. Now at the top there's a name, and then you have the caption. So the caption is actually what we're trying to change. So that's the caption is what people are going to see when that form loads, right? And then I like to put my you know colon, make it look official, if you will. All right, and then we're going to do the next part, which is going to be like the field in which people are going to enter their information in. Now be careful what you name it, and take note of what you name it. You could leave it as text box 1 if you want to, but I changed the name of it to make it official, I guess, but whatever you name it, take note of what you name that as so that you could put it in your code for it to work properly. Okay. And the beautiful thing is you can have as many user forms as you want for, different parts of whatever you do in Excel. And you just have to call them correctly in your code. And then I'm going to do the label for the code, ID or whatever have you. And make sure you change the caption as well. Change the name for your purposes. Change the caption. And the caption is actually what the code is going to pull your field off of when you do the field, if you will. Okay. I like to get them nice and grouped together. I'm going to add as a group to make it look a bit better for us all. It's going to be real nice when we're done with it. I mean, I can't beat it. Frame. We're going to add a frame. So add a frame. So I'm going to put the frame down there. You make sure you select the frame. And you do the frame down there. You can name the frame the same as you can name the field and the other parts of it. Real easy. Okay. Now, I want to change the name of the frame too, but I want to, make sure I line up the fields so it looks nice and perfect, if you will. It's close to perfection if we could get it. So I'm going to bring down the top a little bit, and they have this grid thing that makes it a little bit easier. It kind of snaps to the grid a little bit. So then we're going to bring that tag, the label, into this frame. And then I'm going to bring in another field. We're going to rename the frame. And you could call it whatever you want. And there's the name part, and then there's a caption. So the caption is what the form will pull the information off. So you want to change the caption. I choose to I like to change the caption and the frame just to get it right. See how it pulls that information from that particular caption field. Then I'm going to create a text, area for the ID, which is going to that's where you're going to enter your digits. Okay. Then they're lined up nicely. It looks beautiful. What we want to do next is we want to put a button. Okay. So before I do that, I want to open up another notepad for me, in my notes, and I take notes of what I did on the form so that when I do the program or the coding, it accurately, as you see there, pulls the data from the right fields. So when that first field is going to go to initials, and then the second field is going to go into the digits. So we're going to create the code that takes the data from the form and enters it into the data sheet. It's a simple code. It's quite a few lines, but the code has got to do a couple of things. It's got to unlock the sheets, and then it's got to make the change, then lock the sheets. So that's what I'm exactly doing on mine. Okay. So we're just doing a little bit of modification and making sure that, we could do the screen updating so it keeps the screen from like flashing and different things like that on you. Makes it look a little bit more professional when you do the turn off screen flashing and this, that, and the other, and then turn it back on during the duration of your code. right? So we don't want it to update the screen when the code's running, and when the code's done, it's going to put the screen updating back. So we're going to run a little test and see what we have, and then I'm going to see what happens. Now notice that the form stays put. We don't want the form to stay put. The way out of this is you click the X. So the part that we have to put in is for the thing that showed the form, when they click that save button, what happens is it needs to close the form. So there's a command for that, and we'll get to that. We also see that the data is being put in the wrong place, okay? When you do the cells reference, it is row and then column, row, comma, column, okay? And that's what I was a little bit confused at the time. It's been a while since I worked with this aspect of Excel's macro building. So we see the setup form show for that one macro. We want to put that code back down here at the bottom somewhere to close the form. And I think we want to comment the code so that we know what's happening. And if you don't know exactly what the command is, you could do that dot, and then it'll give you a list of commands that you can do for whatever you're trying to do with a particular command. And it gives you, well, the form. If you put the form, the dot, and then you put the hide, it should now, when we test it, it should run the form and hide it, right? So I click edit, put my name, put the digits, click save, and it does it. But there's still one problem. It's still not putting the data where it needs to go. So I got to look back at what's happening. My ID field is blank. So we got to fix that part of it. And this is the fun of it. This is the fun of troubleshooting that you have. So I'm doing the wrong row. I put it in row 2. We need to change those. I had to transverse. It should work now. I'm going to stop the code, save my work. Then we're going to run that form. We're going to clean things up a little bit. So I had to unprotect the sheet because the code protects the sheet. And it's almost worth running the code without the code protection sheet or the code protection area commented out so that you could get through this without having to go back and forth between protect the sheet, unprotect the workbook, protect the workbook, you know what I mean? Doing it yourself. So that's something it's a good lesson to learn here that I learned. All right, we're going to run this again. Just going to go in, and hopefully if we cross our fingers, it should do it. So it does the thinking for a little bit. And then the code comes in and it does exactly what we need it to do. Just a little bit I got the numbers right on the cell reference and we're good to go. All right, so now I want to protect the sheet, but I'm going to unprotect the sheet because I want to line up I want to center everything so that it looks a little bit better on the eyes, like for that OCD, if you will. So there we go. So basically, our information is there. Click edit. We want it to, what I did was ultimately I protected, I put all the cells in this page except A1 on lock so that your cursor goes to A1, if you will. That's what I recommend doing. And then you can protect this data sheet as well. And I could have protected the VBA error, but I didn't. I don't. Oh well. But that'll be in the update. All right, so we're gonna clean up things a little bit, and then we're gonna go, and we are going to, prepare to finalize this code and this spreadsheet so that it can be used by everybody else, type of thing. If they want to use something like this, but we want to make it so that they can't knock the codes out and things like that. So. And then also we want to make it so they can't see the code that we did, right? So that works, So I'm testing as I go to make sure everything is working the way it should work. And that's very important. All right, we are on step 8. We got to protect the sheet with the VBA code. So the code is available on that webpage that I mentioned. When you're doing this, I would recommend like putting the code on there, making sure it runs correctly and this, that, and the other. But before you get the other part, the code that puts the data and everything in, right, the troubleshooting part, I would comment this code out, Then when you're done with the troubleshooting, take the comments out and run this code, and you should be good to go. That's the way to do it. I wasn't thinking, and I did this morning. All right, number 9, we're gonna clean up and hide and lock up the code after everything is done, tested, and working. All right, that's it. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. So how you would do that is you would go to the VBA project, right? Then you would go to VBA project properties. Then there's the general tab. Then you could describe it, and then you got the protection tab, which you could lock the project from viewing. And what happens is you put in and confirm your passcode, and it once you get out of it and come back in it, you won't be able to see the code until you put the password in. So the spreadsheet, the locking codes upon open and upon close will lock the spreadsheet for you, and the locking away of the code so they can't be viewed is something you have to do that you're not going to do with the VBA code that I didn't do with the VBA code. So at the end of the day, if you enjoyed this presentation, hit like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We are Techtronics. There's my contact information. And make sure you like the video, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll be back at you with another one. So thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Take care.
Yo, what's up? This is Dr. Dre.
What's up, y'all? This is Tupac, Machiavelli the Dawn.
Yo, it's Crack Flag. This is Big Snoop Deal Double G.
You're in the mix with the one and only. It's DJ 3T.